Hello everyone, welcome again to Unleashed. In your rusty previous video, we have seen what is a method, how to create a method parameters, and the method overloading. So now you're going to start classes. After finishing this course, we start to build an application, a new application using ASP.NET Core. If you follow well, you will know how to develop application using ASP.NET Core plus MySQL, SQL Server database, and other things. But you will know how to create a real application if you follow well. So now we are going to start with classes. But to learn a class, we must know what we call OOP. OOP stands for Object-Oriented Programming. Let's use this. Let's use this. No problem. So now we are going to learn what we call OOP. It stands for Object Oriented Programming. So there is also procedural programming. So procedural programming is about writing a procedure or methods that perform operation on data. While this object-oriented programming or OOP is about creating objects that contain both data and methods. So now what you have to know on object-oriented programming, it is faster and easier to execute. It has several advantages. So OOP provides a clear structure for the programs. OOP helps to keep the C# code dry. This one. So this dry, as I said, OOP helps to keep C# code dry. This dry stands for don't repeat yourself. So this OOP helps to keep the C# code dry, which stands for don't repeat yourself, and make the code easier to maintain, modify, and debug. So OOP, Object-Oriented Programming Language, make it possible to create a full reusable application with less code and shorter development time. So after finishing this, we will build the real application with the UI, graphical user interface, and we connect to database. We will build the API, RESTful API. We do many things after finishing to run this. So guys, now you are going to start to learn. So when we say what is the class and what is the object? So classes and object are two main aspects of object-oriented programming. When you say OOP, we have classes and objects. So classes and objects are two main aspects of object-oriented programming. So now let me give you an example. Here we are going to have a class. class. Then we have object. So in a class, let's say we have a class fruit. And then in a class of fruit, you can have different types of fruit. You can have apple, you can have strawberries, you can have banana. So these are objects of fruit class. They are classified as a fruit. These are the fruits. They are in a the object. These are object of this class fruit. So guys, now what you have to know, class is a template for object, and the object is an instance of a class. So when the individual objects are created, they inherit all the variables and methods from the class. You will know many things about this. So let's move. As you know, now we know class and the object. So everything in C# is associated with the classes and object, along with its attribute and methods. So in real life, for example, we can have a car as an object. The car can have attributes such as color, weight, model. It can also have methods such as a drive and brake. So a class is like an object constructor or blueprint for creating object. Now we are going to create a class. We use this keyword. We use this keyword class. For example, we can create a class car. Then you can have string color, for example, equal to row. But let's remove it in a comment. This can work also. Let's remove it from the comment. Let's add it here. You see a class. Now you see how do we declare a class. You see class program, but we have declared here a class. So when you see this variable color, which is equal blue, it is in this class. Class car will have this opening brace and the closing brace, which means everything inside here is belong to this class car. So when a variable is declared directly in a class, it is often referred to as field or attribute. This is a field or attribute. So you see, we for creating a class car, we have used capital letter, but it's not required to use a capital letter. So the only thing that you have to know about that, it is not required, but it's a good practice to start with the uppercase first letter when naming class like this. So you know it's common in Java. It is required. So now we are going to create an object. So let's use our class. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. See, namespace, okay, class car. The only thing you have it is to delete this. So let's start from scratch. Let's start from scratch. We're going to create a class. Class car. So now in a class car, we're going to declare a variable in a class car, which is going to be equal to blue. You see, guys, now we're going to create a method where code have to be executed. Static void main. So now we are going to create an object. So an object is created from a class. So we already have a class called car. So now we can use this to create an object. To create an object of this class car, we're going to specify the class name followed by object name, then we use the keyword new. As you see, we're going to use car, then we create the name of object. We are going to create a name of object. This is object. Let's call it object car, which is going to be equal new car. You see how we create an object? This is an object. So now what you're going to do, we are going to display the value of variable car. We're going to access. So use console dot write line. This you're going to use here. We are going to use in order to access this. We are going to use this object car. We're going to use our object name dot. You have to know this dot. Then you copy this car as a variable. So then semicolon. Now you see what you have to know. This dot syntax is used to access a variable inside the class. So we are going to learn our application. So we still have errors. C#. Let's use here. Let's add something here like using system namespace C#. So we have to bring this only. Let's copy this and put it in namespace. So now let's try to learn application. You see, guys, now it is a brew. So now we can have multiple class and object. So here in our class car, you see we have this object, but you can also create another object. You can create a car object 1 equal new car. Then you can display console.writeLine dot this object 1 dot color. So you're going to have a brew 2 times. You see, brew. These are multiple objects. So now we can also have multiple class. So the next things that you're going to learn is class members. Now we are going on class members. Fields and methods inside the classes are often referred to as class members. We're going to create a class and call it card with 3 class members, 2 fields or attributes, and 1 method. This is a namespace to help us to organize our code. I'm going to create a class here, class card. Then after class card, I'm going to declare string color to be green. So do int maximum speed is going to be equal to 300. So these are the fields, to the class members. Methods and fields inside the class. You see, it is inside the class car. These are class members. So you're going to create your own method. So choose public void. Let's call it full throttle. Save it to finish it with this. Then so also .writeLine, we need something to display with our method. Car go faster. Cars go faster. So then now what we need, you see, it is within class car. So now what we need, we need to access these things. So we must create where the code have to be executed. So we must have a main method. So let's create it. Let's void main string args. Then now we're going to create an object to access these things. So we need to access these fields and this method. So now what you're going to do, you're going to create an object. An object, you use a class name, car object name. Object is going to be equal to new car. Then console dot right line origin dot color. Then answer that's right line. Then you use origin dot this max speed. So now let's try to run our application. See the output. You see, we have a green and a 300. So now what you're going to do, you're going to access the method. So to access the method, the only thing that you're going to do, you're going to use this keyword. So you're going to use this OG dot full throttle then you're going to line. Because of this, you're going to get this message, cargo fast. You see, cargo fast. So now guys, you're going to learn about constructors. So constructors is a special method that is used to initialize an object. So the advantage of constructor is that it is called when an object of a class is created. It can be used to set initial value or a field. So now we have let's start from scratch. No problem. Let's start from scratch again. We're going to create a class. Class car example. So after creating a class, you're going to create a field. Fabric string, for example, model. So this is a field. So now we are going to create a class constructor for this class car. So to create it, we use the public car. This is constructor. Then model is going to be equal to Lamborghini. So now this is how we set the initial value for this model on this. So now what you're going to do, let's create a where code have to be executed, static voids main. So now what you're going to do, you're going to create an object of the class. So car object is the object name, new car. So we're creating an object of a class. So this we call the constructor to help us to call constructor. Then answer dot right line. Then you use this object that helps us to call constructor dot model. So now you're going to learn our application and it will display this Lamborghini. You see, Lamborghini. So guys, this is how we create a constructor by we were setting the initial value for the value. So the only thing that you have to know, the constructor name must match the class name. It cannot have a return type like a void or integer. Note that constructor is equal to an object is created. All classes have a constructor by default. If you do not create a class constructor yourself, C# will create one for you. However, then you are not able to set the initial value for the fields. So the only thing that you have to know, the class constructor save a time. Now we are going to learn about constructor parameters. Constructor can have parameters which is used to initialize fields. So now we are going to work on it. The only thing that we're going to do, you see, this is a constructor. You're going to give this constructor a parameter. So let's see something that you have it to do this. For example, model name. So after that, you have it to change here. You bring this model name. So now, what we need now, the only thing that we need here we must have a. So here it is where we have to write the output that we need to display. So let's add number key. So when you learn our application, you see it is Lamborghini. So this example with a string name, model name. You see model equal model name. Now Guys, the next video we'll learn about access modify. Thank you.